Okay, so now there's a very important point that will take us to the end of our discussion today, which is on neighbor, the other as another eye. Maybe just a brief background, even though it is not clearly in Votiwa's work that way, but definitely you see that what inspired this notion of the other as another eye is the story of the Good Samaritan. We know this good story of the Good Samaritan in the Gospel of Luke, the New Testament of the Christian Bible, when somebody was going out to his business and then he was attacked by brigands and they beat him up and he was almost dead. Then the priest came, passed by, did not help him. He's busy with his work. He wanted to go and celebrate his ritual. The Levites also walked by the side of the road and did not help. Then a Samaritan, saw this wounded man and almost dying, and then came to his rescue, helped him, carried him, took him to the hospital, gave him a good treatment, gave some balance of money, and said, I'm going to pay whatever is needed to make sure that this man gets well. And then Jesus asked the guy who asked him the question, who is my neighbor? That among these three persons, who is a neighbor to the wounded man? And he said, the Good Samaritan. The Samaritan wasn't the Good Samaritan. So the Samaritan saw the wounded man as another him or her. So the other as another I. You are another me. And that is a neighbor. So a neighbor is not just somebody living the next door. It's another you. So the other does not just signify that the being existing next to me or even acting in common with me in some system of activities is the same kind of being as I am. So the other, within the context of this real situation, the other also signifies my no less real, though primarily subjective, participation in that being's humanity. A participation arising from my awareness that this being is another I, which means also an I. This is interesting. So the other is another I, it's another me. So me, the neighbor is the other, and the other is another I, it's another me. And this is a very, very interesting, very important point. Now, every human being is a neighbor. And of course, from the African philosophy, the Ubuntu philosophy, I am because we are. We are, therefore I am. So every person is another I. And so this is very well illustrated in African philosophical notion of Ubuntu. I am because we are, therefore I am. Ubuntu philosophy. Members of the community of being are individually another person. That is another I, another ego. The basis of understanding participation together with others is to be conscious that the other is another I. I say it again. The basis of understanding participation together with others is to be conscious that the other is another I. Now, let us look at the actualization of participation as a task. I have a task to be a neighbor. That's very important. In other words, I have a task to be a neighbor. I have a task to be another. I have a task to see the other as another I. That's the point here. I have a task to see the other as another I. Thus, the other is a neighbor, and conversely, a neighbor is the other. A neighbor is not just someone next door, or a colleague at work. A neighbor is another I, as I am. A neighbor is another I, as I am. This follows that another person is a neighbor to me, not just because we share a like humanity, but chiefly because the other is another I. This is so powerful. Find that in the acting person, page 283. I take it again. Another person is a neighbor to me, not just because we share a like humanity, but chiefly because the other is another I. This means that participation is not a giving. That's important. Living in a community of being does not automatically guarantee the actualization of participation in the community of being. So it's not because you are in a marriage, then because you are married to this person, then there will be participation. It's not because you are in a family, then automatically because you are with your family members, there will be participation. A lot of people are lonely, they are depressed, they feel dejected in their own marriage, in their own family, with their friends. But they are lonely even with their friends. They are lonely with their family. They are lonely with their spouse. They feel dejected, not accepted. So it is not a giving. It's not a giving. Therefore, according to Votiwa, the actualization of participation in relation to every other human being arises before each of us as a task. This is important. So I have a task to help the other to actualize his or herself in the community of being and participation. So this beautiful discussion. So I give the references for further reading. The acting person, or you can get the other translation, Person and Act, and then one of his essays in the collection of essays titled Participation and Alienation in the collected work, Person and Community. So I hope that with this we'll begin to see that I have a task to help the other to participate in the community. Thank you.